In a tranquil village, two brothers lived with their irascible father. The father often indulged in alcohol, and under his influence, the brothers' life paths diverged sharply. The elder brother inherited his father's vices and became another drunkard in the village. The younger brother, determined to escape this fate, eventually became a respected entrepreneur. Their starkly different fates sparked curiosity among the villagers. They decided to look for answers, and so one day, the villagers collectively visited the brothers. They first found their brother, who was often drunk. That night, he got drunk again in the cold wind. The villagers helped him to a nearby bench. Once he sobered up slightly, they asked why he was so mired in alcohol. There was helplessness in my brother's eyes. Growing up under the shadow of our father, every day he either watched him get drunk or was beaten by him. In such an environment, do you think I had any other choice? Later, the villagers went to the younger brother's home. In an environment where two people are like their brothers, the younger brother's office was orderly, with shelves lined neatly with books, reflecting a disciplined life. When asked about the secret to his success, the younger brother pondered for a moment and replied, "Seeing my father's downfall, I resolved early on not to follow in his footsteps. My success is because I chose a completely different path in life. I sought dignity and achievement." This story illustrates that even when growing up in the same difficult circumstances, personal choices can still change one's fate. While the environment shapes us, it is ultimately individual determination and actions that define our lives.
A feng shui master who often made a living through deception couldn't find work on the streets of America. So he had a bright idea and decided to open a shop. He hung up a big sign at the entrance. "Cure all diseases, $50 per treatment. If not cured, a $500 refund." One day, a sharp lawyer passed by and saw the sign. He thought to himself, "This is a foolproof deal." The lawyer walked into the shop, faking a pained expression, and said, "Master, I've suddenly lost my sense of smell. I can't smell anything. Can you cure me?" The master smiled slightly and said, "That's not a big problem. I'll cure you right away." After saying this, he took out a bottle of medicine from the cabinet and handed it to the lawyer to drink. Thinking this was his chance, the lawyer drank it without hesitation. Immediately, the lawyer frowned and shouted, "What is this? Why does it smell so foul?" The master smiled and said, "Congratulations, your sense of smell is back. You've smelled my specially crafted elixir of boy's urine. That'll be $50. The lawyer was stunned, completely caught off guard by the master's trick. He felt disgusted but couldn't argue, so he reluctantly handed over $50, thinking to himself, "I must win back that $500. A few days later, still unwilling to give up, the lawyer returned. This time, he held his head, pretending to be in great pain, and said, "Master, I've lost my memory recently. I can't remember anything. Can you cure me?" The master remained calm and collected, took out the same bottle of medicine from the cabinet, and was about to hand it to the lawyer when the lawyer quickly shouted, "You're not serious. This is the same urine from last time." The master chuckled and said, "Congratulations, your memory has returned. That'll be $50. The lawyer, grinding his teeth in frustration, couldn't find any excuse to refuse and reluctantly paid another $50, swearing to himself, "I'll make him refund that $500. The third time, the lawyer walked into the shop brimming with confidence. This time, he pretended to have blurry vision and said, "Master, my eyesight has become poor recently. I can't see things clearly. Can you cure me?" The feng shui master furrowed his brow and sighed. "I can't cure this one. Looks like I'll have to refund you $500. The lawyer's heart leaped with joy, thinking he had finally won. But just as he was about to receive the money, the master pulled out $50 from his pocket and handed it to him. The lawyer was dumbfounded. "This isn't $500. Didn't you say you'd refund me $500? The master smiled slightly and said, "Congratulations, your vision has returned. You can clearly see this is $50. Now give me $50. The lawyer was speechless, too angry to speak, and had no choice but to hand over another $50, leaving with a heart full of frustration. Once upon a time, there was a boy who had a very bad temper. One day, his father gave him a bag of nails and said, "Every time you get angry, hammer a nail into the fence." On the first day, the boy hammered many nails into the fence. He felt exhausted, but he gradually realized that getting angry required a lot of energy. In the next few weeks, he tried to control his temper, and the number of nails hammered into the fence gradually decreased. The boy found that staying calm was easier than always getting angry. One day, he managed not to get angry at all, and happily told his father the good news. His father smiled and said, "Very good from now on. For every day you do not lose your temper. Pull out a nail from the fence." Days passed, and the boy patiently pulled out one nail after another, until one day, all the nails were finally pulled out. He excitedly went to tell his father, who took his hand and led him to the fence. His father looked at the fence covered in holes and gently said, "You have done very well, my child. But look at these holes. Even though the nails have been removed, the scars remain. When you are angry and say hurtful words, it leaves a mark in others' hearts. Even if you apologize later, those scars still remain, just like these holes." The boy looked at the fence, was silent for a moment, and tears welled up in his eyes. He finally understood his father's meaning and decided to cherish others' feelings from then on, treating everyone with kindness. In a small town in America, a young boy was playing at home when he accidentally broke his mother's favorite vase. The pieces were scattered all over the floor, and he panicked, thinking, "Should I just pretend it never happened?" But just then, his father happened to pass by and saw everything. Instead of getting angry, his father knelt down gently and asked, "Are you okay? Did you get hurt?" The boy nodded anxiously. His father looked at the pieces on the ground and softly said, "This vase was a gift from your grandmother to your mother. She cherishes it a lot." The boy felt even worse and asked in a low voice, "What should I do now?" His father thought for a moment and said, "Would you like to help me fix this mistake?" The boy hesitated, but eventually nodded. Together they went to the town stores to look for a new vase. Despite visiting many places, they couldn't find one exactly like the original. Seeing the boy becoming increasingly disheartened, his father encouraged him. "We can choose a different vase, and as long as you pick it with your heart, it will hold special meaning." After careful selection, the boy finally chose a delicate white porcelain vase. He then insisted on using his own allowance to buy a bouquet of red roses, his mother's favorite, and carefully placed them in the vase. Looking at the new vase and the beautiful roses, a slight smile of confidence appeared on his face. When they got home, he carefully placed the new vase on the living room table. Just as he was about to sneak away, his father said softly, "You know, honesty is the best policy. We shouldn't hide what happened, but rather tell Mom the truth." The boy hung his head, unsure, but finally took a deep breath and gathered the courage to approach his mother. "Mom, I'm sorry. I accidentally broke your vase, but I hope you like the new vase and these red roses I picked out." His mother's expression turned from surprise to tenderness. She gently stroked the boy's head and said, "Thank you for telling me the truth. I'm very touched." She smiled warmly and placed the new vase where the old one had been. That evening, the mother made the boy's favorite dinner, symbolizing that the mishap had become a memory filled with love and understanding. The young boy also learned that facing mistakes bravely is more important than avoiding problems because honesty is the most precious promise he could make. There was a teacher with 4 sons whom he wanted to teach to think deeply and evaluate comprehensively. For this purpose, he sent each son to the same place to observe an apple tree in different seasons. The eldest son went in winter, the second son set out in spring, the third son left in summer, and the youngest son departed in autumn. When the eldest son visited in winter, he saw the apple tree was bare, and all the surrounding trees had lost their leaves, making the whole scene appear lonely and strong. He reported to his father that although the tree was solitary, it was still vibrant in the severe cold. When the second son arrived in spring, he saw new buds sprouting from the apple tree, and the branches were full of hopeful green leaves. During his summer visit, the third son saw the trees lush and green, with beautiful flowers blooming competitively under the sun, full of the vitality of summer. This was the most vibrant plant he had ever seen. By autumn, the youngest son saw the tree laden with ripe apples, heavy with fruit, a symbol of a bountiful harvest. He shared emotionally that the abundant fruits of the tree represented nature's generosity and the result of hard work. After all four brothers had finished their reports, the father gathered them together and explained, "Each of your descriptions was accurate, but each of you only saw one part of the apple tree's life. We should not judge the value of a tree based solely on the observation of one season. Similarly, one action does not define a person entirely. Only through experiencing the change of 4 seasons, we can do it holistically, understand and evaluate. Therefore, don't be challenged for the moment. Just give up on possible future success. Patience and a well-rounded perspective is the key to understanding life."